Hello everyone. Today we will read about poverty. So, the poverty, गांधी जी ने एक बहुत ही बढ़िया कोट दिया था. That is, poverty is the worst form of violence. So, इस कोट से हमें पता चलता है कि ओवरऑल इम्पैक्ट ऑफ द पोवर्टी ऑन द लाइव्स ऑफ द पुअर. तो पोवर्टी क्या है? पोवर्टी is a condition where a person or an individual are unable to fulfill basic needs of life. Now we will read about how we measure poverty. तो सबसे पहले इसमें आता है poverty line. What is poverty line? Poverty line is a monetary threshold under which individual is considered to be living in poverty. So the poverty estimation before independence and poverty estimation after independence. So first we will read poverty estimation in pre-independent India. In pre-independent India, Dadabhai Naroji, he was first to discuss the concept of poverty line. He used the menu for the prisoners and used appropriate prevailing prices to arrive at what may be called as jail cost of living. So in pre-independent India, Dadabhai Naroji, he was first to discuss the concept of poverty. Okay. And in pre-independent India only, next is National Planning Commission under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. So the Jawaharlal Nehru, he suggested a poverty line based on minimum standard of living ranging from 15 to 20 per capita. Okay. And the third one in pre-independent India is Bombay Plan. And this suggested poverty line of 75 rupees per capita per year for a minimum standard of living. So in pre-independent India, first one to discuss poverty line is Dadabhai Naroji. Then the second, National Planning Commission under the chairmanship of Jawaharlal Nehru. Then the third, Bombay Plan. Now in poverty estimation in independent India. So in 1962, Planning Commission constituted a working group to estimate poverty nationally. 1962 में प्लानिंग कमीशन ने एक वर्किंग ग्रुप बनाया टू एस्टिमेट poverty nationally, and it formulate separate poverty lines for rural and the urban areas of rupees 20 rupees and rupees 25 per capita respectively, 20 rupees for rural and 25 for urban. Next is V.M. Dandekar and Anrath. In 1971, they made first systematic assessment of poverty in India. This was based on National Sample Survey data from 1960 to 1961. So in 1971, V.M. Dandekar and Anrath, they made first systematic assessment of poverty in India based on National Sample Survey data from 1960 to 61. They argued that poverty line must be derived from the expenditure that was adequate to provide 20 to 50 calorie per day in both rural and urban areas. To provide 20 to 50 calorie per day in both rural and urban areas. Next in 1779, a task force constituted by the Planning Commission for the purpose of poverty estimation, and this was chaired by Y.K. Alag. So, called Alag Committee. They constructed a poverty line for rural, and urban on the basis of nutritional requirements. In 1979, task force constituted by the Planning Commission for the purpose of poverty estimation, chaired by Y.K. Alag, and constructed a poverty line for rural and urban on the basis of nutritional requirements. Next is Lakdawala Committee. In 1993, an expert group constituted to review the methodology for poverty estimation. This was chaired by D.T. Lakdawala. This made a following suggestions. So, Lakdawala committee, they suggested the consumption expenditure should be calculated based on the calorie consumptions. Okay, ये फर्स्ट पॉइंट हो गया जो सजेस्ट किया था, क्या था वो? कंजप्शन एक्सपेंडिचर शुड बी calculated based on the calorie consumption. And the next one is state specific poverty lines. State specific poverty line should be constructed, and these should be updated using the consumer price index of industrial workers in urban areas and consumer price index of agricultural labor in the rural areas. Industrial workers in the urban areas and agricultural laborers in rural areas. And the third suggestion was the discontinuation of scaling of poverty estimation based on the national account statistics. So, Lakdawala committee suggested 3 points. First one is consumption expenditure should be calculated based on the calorie consumption, and the second one is state specific poverty line should be constructed, and third one is discontinuation of the scaling of the poverty estimations based on the national account statistics. Next is Tendulkar Committee 2009. This committee was chaired by Suresh Tendulkar. So, this Tendulkar committee to review the methodology for poverty estimation, chaired by Suresh Tendulkar, and was constituted by the Planning Commission to address the following 3 shortcomings. कौन से 3 shortcomings थे? The first one is consumption pattern. This consumption pattern were linked to the 1973 to 74 poverty line baskets of goods and services. Okay, जो भी consumption patterns था वो किससे linked था? 1973 and 74 poverty line baskets से linked था. And the second point was issues with adjustment with prices both across regions and across time. And third shortcoming was preassumption of provision of health and education by the state only. ये 3 shortcomings थे. प्रीवियस मेथड्स के 3 शॉर्टकमिंग्स थे. क्या क्या थे? फर्स्ट वन इज कंजप्शन पैटर्न, किससे लिंक थे? 1973 to 74 poverty line baskets of goods and services. And second was issues with the adjustment with prices both across regions and across time. And जो थर्ड पॉइंट था, जो भी अर्लियर poverty line था, they assumed that the health and education would be provided by the state only. Okay, then this Tendulkar committee made recommendations. So the recommendations are, first one is using mixed reference period based estimations, and next point is uniform poverty line basket across rural and the urban line. Then next point is change in price adjustment procedure, and fourth point is incorporation of private expenditure on हेल्थ एंड एजुकेशन. शॉर्टकमिंग्स में क्या था कि वो सिर्फ स्टेट ही देखता है, ठीक है, ऐसा हमारा प्रिंजप्शन था. बट रिकमेंड किया तेंदुलकर कमेटी ने इनकॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ प्राइवेट एक्सपेंडिचर ऑन हेल्थ एंड एजुकेशन. नाउ द नेक्स्ट कमिटी formed in 2012, the Planning Commission. In 2012, Planning Commission constituted a new expert panel on poverty estimation. This was chaired by C. Rangarajan. In designing the poverty line basket, it includes three components. First one is food items, next is non-food items, and third one is behavioral linked expenditure. और भी कमिटीज हैं, जैसे एग्जाम्पल हशीम कमिटी, इसने रिकमेंड किया था 3 स्टेज आइडेंटिफिकेशन प्रोसेस टू आइडेंटिफाई द फैमिलीज बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन. ओके, एंड फिर नेक्स्ट क्या और कमिटी, सक्सेना कमिटी. This committee set up by the Ministry of Rural Development to advise a suitable methodology for BPL census. This was not for the poverty estimation के लिए नहीं था. किसके लिए था? Suitable methodology for BPL census. So ये था poverty estimation in pre-independent India and poverty estimation in the independent India. Okay, so let's end here. Thank you.